Hello again. I might need some help. I'm crafting and I can't stop. So today, I have to confess, it rained for about 15 minutes this morning, maybe 10. And I thought, well, I can't run any of my errands or do anything else. I know, I'll craft. And I've been doing that ever since, and now it is about 3:30 in the afternoon. So I started out making some tags, and I'll show those to you. And these were made with tags that I found at, Tuesday morning. And they, I think, were quite a bargain. There was a package, if I turn it right side up, I bet you could see it better. It was a package of 50, they're called market tags, it's a 7 Gypsies product. 50 of them for $1.99, and these are the pretty big ones, 2 1/8 by 6 1/4. I also found a package of 50, same thing, market tags, 50 for $1.99, but these are 2 5/8 by 5 1/4, and they're manila colored. And then I found these little do-jiggers, and I'm not exactly sure what I'm going to do with them. They're sort of like little file tabs, only they kind of go the tall way instead of the short way. But I thought they might come in handy for something. If not, I can use them for pockets. I don't know. I just had to have them. So this is the first tag, which I made using Glimmer Mist and Perfect Pearls. And I found out something about Perfect Pearls, and that is that it has a type of a resin in it, and so it acts as a resist. So I sprayed the Glimmer Mist on after I painted the butterflies with the Perfect Pearls, and yet they didn't run or lose any of their shine, although the Glimmer Mist has shine of its own, so it's hard to tell, but it seemed to resist. And this one I made also using the Glimmer Mist and a little stamp that I picked up. I think I got that at Tuesday morning as well. I'll show that to you in a minute. I thought that was kind of nice. And here's another one, same thing, just with kind of blues and a little peach in the middle. I really like the stamp. It's actually a set of 4. Here's another one that I made. Make a joyful noise. I love music and musical notes, so I thought that was nice. This is a rose stamp that I picked up at the Michael's Dollar Bin, I think the last time I was on vacation. It's one of those stamps. I can't tell if it's not printing well or if it's just the way it's supposed to look. Sometimes I like it, sometimes I don't like it. Here's another one with that saying on it, this time with some little butterflies and a very pale green Glimmer Mist. And then this one was an oops. I stamped on the tag itself and the stamp didn't show very well, so I covered it with a book page, and when I stamped on the book page, the stamp worked out just fine. Put a little trim on top, Glimmer Misted the top with some apricot colored Glimmer Mist, and I don't know, I like the way it came out. It's kind of cool. So I used the Glimmer Mists that I think I showed you yesterday, the big bottles, which I picked up at Tuesday morning, and they were like $2.49. But then I also found this package of 5 smaller bottles for $7.99. That's more than I usually pay for things. But it had a clear, which was interesting, and then one called Frost, and then one called Spring Violet, and a Glacier, and Moonlight. The Moonlight's like a dark blue, the Frost is a light blue, the Spring Violet is a very, very pale violet purple color, and the clear really is no color. It just adds a glimmer, and then the Frost is almost like a white. Might be good for snow or something like that. So those are those, and these are the stamps. This one was definitely a Michael's Dollar Bin stamp. I remember that pretty clearly. This one, and I really just love dragonflies, was also a Michael's Dollar Bin stamp. This one was also a Michael's Dollar Bin stamp, and that's a big one. It has some glitches though. It doesn't seem to always print very well. I've put a mouse pad under it, I've put books under it, different things to try to make sure it prints, and sometimes it does, sometimes it doesn't. And then this is a little butterfly stamp that I picked up. I almost want to say this one was Joann's, but it was on clearance. And so to stamp those, I usually use the Ranger archival ink, and I like that because you can mist over it, paint over it, whatever, and it doesn't matter, it doesn't run. So you definitely need an archival ink to do that with. And this little stamp, which I picked up at Tuesday Morning as well. So then I kind of got in a mood to do some things that I had also seen on YouTube, and I'll put a link to those down below. So this is a little pocket that I saw someone do on YouTube. Can't remember her name right now, but I will link it. And again, mine are a little bit different than hers, but not too different. And I use the little circle punch to make the thumb hole. Just use some flowers that I had already cut out and some trim that I found. I didn't use my gesso on this because the gesso that I have is very thick and has a real gritty feeling to it, which is good for some things, but I really didn't want that. I had seen someone on YouTube do this where they sort of whitewashed so that the print didn't show quite as much, and I like that idea. I still try to make sure that there's nothing inappropriate in the print, but you just never know. So I covered it up a little bit. This one is quite a bit bigger, would be for a larger journal, and again the flower and the pocket, and this time a little bit of ribbon on the bottom. Here's another one, also slightly larger, that I stamped with the dragonfly stamp and put a little trim on. This one, instead of putting the dragonfly stamp on the pocket itself, I put it on a separate piece of paper and ink that up, kind of like a closure. And I'm trying to decide, I might actually put something on these, like a little dot of Velcro or something like that, so that they can be held closed. I might use magnets, haven't quite decided yet. And another video that I've been seeing on YouTube a lot is one where she makes these little, she calls them pockets, and I guess she decides when she makes them exactly how she's going to adhere them, whether they'll be top loading or side loading. And again, I just used book paper and some fibers or a ribbon. I also found, don't think I showed you this yet, this little package of 7 Gypsies ephemera, also at Tuesday Morning. I don't see a price tag on it, but I'm sure it wasn't more than a couple of dollars or I wouldn't have bought it. So I used those on here, and then this one I used just a scallop punch and a little thing from a Sizzlets die, and for some reason I decided to try Mod Podging this one just to make the paper stronger, and that's fine, but I could take it or leave it. I think either way is good. Another little pocket that I made, a really plain one, nothing but the dragonfly and just a little sort of gusset on the back so it'll stick out a little bit. And here's another one, also made with a book page with a little bit of ribbon on the bottom. And another one where I just tore the paper and the dragonfly, and I did a little bit of the white painting and then the Tim Holtz on the edges. I was going to show you too that when I do my stamping and my edging, especially because here I don't have all the things like the Ranger non-stick mat and so on, I just take an old book, which I use for lots of things, and I stamp off on that to clean the stamp, or I stamp on it to see if the image is good. And then at some point I might actually be able to use that for something in a collage or whatnot. And I also do my distressing on that if I want the distressing to go off the side of what I'm distressing. I hope that made sense. And then a couple more little, these are the type of tuck spot that you just glue to the top of a page. I actually used some packaging that a paper pad came in, which is why those are kind of shiny, because the packaging was shiny. Just something different. And this one I just sort of whitewashed and trimmed with some trim that I found at a thrift store someplace. And then these two I did using book papers and paper clips and some scraps of scrapbooking paper and some cheap musical note stickers that I found. and another one there with the packaging. So I apologize for the video. I don't have a tripod here. I'm supposed to be on vacation and not doing any of this stuff, but for some reason here I am. Here is that stamp set with the lace doilies, and I think it's really, really nice. I paid $2.99 for that. Yeah, sorry if I'm making you nauseous. $2.99 for that, and I could see just a ton of uses for that as a background stamp, stamping off the edge, stamping it and then cutting it with a circle cutter or with one of your circle dies. So I just had to have it. And these were in the clearance rack at Michael's, so I got those. And they actually had this at Tuesday Morning as well. It's that red line tape. It's not a ton of it, but for $1.99. And when I was putting the trim on the pockets and such, and I found out that glue wasn't working very well, this did the trick really nicely. And then the other thing that I've been spending my time doing is coffee dyeing paper. So I coffee dyed some doilies. I sprayed a couple with glimmer mist. I coffee dyed some file cards. Some of them I folded in half. That one, when I put it in the oven, I put a little die cut flour, and that sort of keeps the dye from, or the coffee from setting in there. More file cards, loose leaf paper, computer paper. This is a package of like kids drawing or practice writing paper that I found, I think at the dollar store, and the rest is just copy paper. And I put it under a couple of heavy books overnight, and who knows, maybe I'll be making a journal before I go home, before my vacation's over. Thanks a lot for watching.